The first thing we're going to need if we're going to load black powder 45-70 rounds are bullets. Typically I would cast my own bullets, but sometimes that's just not practical. Right now it's winter time and there's quite a bit of snow on the ground where I usually do my casting, so I've had to go buy some. I picked up laser cast bullets. These are excellent bullets. They're kind of hard, but as long as they're sized right, that is okay. The problem is, like a lot of bullets, they are made for smokeless powder. So the lube is for smokeless, not for black powder. We need a much softer lube for black powder. And what you can see is that very waxy lube that's that green bands in the bullet. We are going to make our own black powder lube, and in just a second I'm going to tell you how I do that. Now here is a piece of my black powder lube, and this is what goes in the reservoir of the lubricizer. This is pretty simple to make. This is about 60% beeswax and 40% lamb's tallow. And all you do is melt the beeswax in a double boiler or in the microwave, and then melt the lamb's tallow into it, stir it up good, and pour it into a tray. And I just break this up and put it into the lubricizer's lube reservoir. And what it does is it keeps the black powder fouling soft, as opposed to the hard lubes that come on smokeless bullets, which just tend to bake onto the barrel, make it very difficult to clean. Accuracy will deteriorate shot to shot very quickly. Alright, so to go from a smokeless lube bullet, like the one on the left, to a bare bullet, and then finally to a black powder lube bullet, it's a pretty simple process, but the first step is going to require we take a little trip to the oven. To get smokeless lube off of bullets to use for black powder, all you have to do is line a baking pan with paper towels and pop them in the oven at 225 degrees for about 15 minutes. The lube melts off into the paper towels, bullets are nice and clean, you can run them through your lubricizer, and it doesn't mess up the kitchen, so you won't get in any trouble. Well, the final step in going from smokeless lube to a bare bullet to black powder lube takes us back to the reloading bench, where we're going to use a Lyman 450 lubricizer to put the black powder lube in the grooves on these bullets. Well, the first thing we're going to do is to lubricate our bullets is we're going to pull a press out of here, and we're going to replace it with a lubricizer. So I just need to undo these screws right here. And this happens to be one of the greatest devices in the world. This is a Lee bench plate. And the beauty of this is you bolt the steel plate to your bench, and it has these L brackets, and you affix these wooden bases to your presses and any utilities, and you just slide them in and slide them out. So I'm going to take this press out, and I'm going to replace it with this lubricizer. And as you can see, that goes right in. 4 screws, just tighten them down, and we are going to be good to go. And of course, if you're working with a small bench like I am, this maximizes your space because you use exactly the same space for your presses or for any auxiliary tools that you need to use, and that's really a godsend. Well, you need to set up the lubricizer next with the appropriate sizing die, which is this, as you can see. It's 458 diameter, which is what we need for 45-70. And you also need the appropriate top punch. And the top punch is the piece that pushes the bullet down into the sizing die. And this is a Lyman top punch. What you do is look up Lyman bullet molds, find the one that looks the most like your bullet, and then order that top punch. And what you want is one that fits the shape of your bullet, so it pushes it in without deforming it. And as you can see, this one does that very well. So now we're ready to set up the lubricizer and get some bullets lubed. Well, once we have the lubricizer set up, the right top punch and the right sizer die in, it's very easy to put lube in our bullets. This is the lubricizer I use for black powder. It's a Lyman 450. It's an older model. I've got a 4500 that's basically the same that I use for smokeless powder, but I like to mix the lube up because it's messy to get out. So we just run it down, So you can see it's sticking out a little bit, and we pull it out, and there you go, a beautifully lubed black powder bullet. All right, and that'll keep the fouling soft, unlike the smokeless lube. And that's all there is to it. Then you just got to do the next 500 or so. Well, this is what a bullet looks like as it's about to enter the lubricizer. And this is what a perfectly lubed bullet looks like when it exits the lubricizer. But that's not always going to be the case. On this bullet, you'll see some gaps in the lube coverage in the grooves. And that's a pretty typical occurrence. And we're going to show you exactly how to take care of that next. As you go along sizing your bullets, you're going to hit a point where you notice that the grooves are not filling up with lube. I don't know how well you can see this, but as you can see right there, there are gaps. Lube, no lube. So when that happens, what you need to do is tighten up on your reservoir here. This little crank runs a screw that will push lube into your bullet. And as you can see here, look at that, where you can see it, you can see we're once again full of lube. Now, on a lot of bullets, like say smaller pistol bullets that don't require a whole lot of lube, you can go quite a few strokes without filling it up. But when you're dealing with big rifle bullets like this one, you need to turn the lube crank about an eighth to a quarter of a turn just about every bullet. And that forces lube into all the grooves and gives us a nice, well lubricated bullet. So that's it. Our bullets are all lubed up now, and we're ready to take the next step, which is to take those bullets and take some black powder and load up 4570 cartridges. So take a look for part 2, and we'll take you right on to the finish round.